Picks and bans for game number 3 here. Spacestation Gaming trying to eke this one out. Trifecta, on the other hand, match point. If they take this, they take the whole set. And for Spacestation, you were asking to maybe switch sides, but still going with the first pick.
Something else that I noticed too is in game number 2, Trifecta banned away the Pele and the Robin in the 3rd and 4th banning phase.
Right.
I would maybe even want to see Spacestation. If they're going to let Trifecta have the BaRRaCCuDDa, fine. But maybe look for that Pele Robin instead. Get Andy something that he can better pressure with.
Well, Spacestation going to change one thing up. Venenu won't be playing on the Merlin. Merlin will be banned out. Last time and the time before and the time before that, Spacestation had banned Serket. So Trifecta's jungler plays Serket very well. Andinster, certainly not a Serket slouch either. So maybe this will open up the front door for a Serket selection for Andinster, which I think would be a nice priority pick. I think that is absolutely an interesting look. The Naja banned one more time. Here I'd like to see a Serket, I think.
I like that Trifecta are holding fast, though, because they're not the ones who are down in this set. They're up by a game, so they can afford this little bit of wiggle room, I think, to kind of test things out. Whether or not, you know, things end up working against them in the long term, that's another discussion. But for right now, I definitely like the idea that Trifecta are still just putting the pressure onto Spacestation for what they're going to first pick. And if they let the BaRRaCCuDDa Freya through again, well, what's Spacestation going to respond to that with?
Exactly. If I'm Spacestation Gaming's coach or even on their team, the conversation is around 3 characters: BaRRaCCuDDa, Serket, and Bellona. Freya, not really the one that I would go to, but it will be selected. And again, we've seen Wowy play it 3 games in a row, but absolutely Freya can mid lane and perhaps excels even more so in the mid lane. If you ask the people, the wave clear is really her strong part in that early phase. And again, talking about Trifecta getting off to an early start, Freya getting some pressure in that middle lane could be a nice look.
At the same time, though, BaRRaCCuDDa still a great pick into the Freya, and a great method of punishing her is to look for weaken on this rat. Also really liking the RDO pickup, because now this kind of forces Spacestation to figure out a way. Well, BaRRaCCuDDa is going to trap everybody and kind of corral them into the same area. RDO Cripplefield is going to keep them there. So if Spacestation want to offer the mobility, and it's probably the Serket pick that they were anticipating to come forward, the reason why we see Trifecta looking for an RDO so early on.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's pretty big brain here of Trifecta, going for the Serket shutdown, understanding that Spacestation has banned this pick 3 games in a row. We're going to go with the BaRRaCCuDDa, which has been successful. In theory, the Serket is successful because that's what we're good at, but Rats won us 2 games.
I honestly think Spacestation trap carded themselves, though, because now they're in a spot where if they don't take the Serket, Weekend could possibly get it, and then that would just shift the BaRRaCCuDDa over to solo, but Rata solo, not the worst case scenario either if you're Trifecta. But
I'm very glad about this Bellona pick.
The Bellona lock-in, I think, was a necessity for Spacestation.
This was the conversation. These were the characters I expected. So BaRRaCCuDDa Bellona, or BaRRaCCuDDa Bellona, I think is the surface level pick for Trifecta. But by going RDO, they force Spacestation into picking Serket. That does open the door for Bellona, but the Achilles also been a hotly contested pick, not just in this set, but in the meta in general as of late. It's being thought about here by Trifecta. Ducky would be likely to pilot it, and it'll go there. Might even want. These are 3 interesting picks that could go wherever they want.
No Ducky Rata or RDO.
Yeah.
Please no.
You know
that is the last thing that I would want to see. I think that the RDO is so much better suited towards dealing with the dual lane, because RDO can apply a lot of early game laning pressure against the Freya, kind of forcing her back to the tower line, not letting her have the benefits of being able to walk up to the wave and resustain her mana with those melee enhance. And additionally, you're going to have a better influence over the Serket by having this RDO in the support role as opposed to solo. And solo, RDO is a little bit more confined to that lane until something happens to the towers or the first solo laner makes the decision to rotate. But that rotation as a Guardian can be very punishing. So again, I just think that this RDO is so much better suited in support.
Second round bans come out. No Guardians by the name of Bacchus or Ganesh, says Trifecta. I like these choices. Ganesh does very well against stance switchers, and also Rat, who wants to spam his abilities. And the Bacchus just a little bit too powerful. Specifically, JeffHindla made a name on Bacchus 5-6 years ago. Probably still relevant. 2 hunters, AMC and Jingwei taken away by SSG. Trifecta on the clock.
Something I would like to see, though, for Space Station is maybe the possibility of the Kumbhakarna in their hands, because I don't think that there's really much room in Trifecta's current draft to try and fit in Kumba. They could possibly look for it still, but I think that they really want an actual mid-lane mage.
Kumba mid!
Not a
Kumba
chance.
mid!
This isn't the best. All right, that was eager once upon a time ago.
Kumba mid, unlikely to be the choice. The Medusa will be looked at for SSG, and I agree. I think Hachiman has the banner, can amplify attack speed of his teammates. I think Kumbhakarna would be a nice look. Space Station Gaming, though, going for what's comfortable. JeffHindla's Sylvanas has certainly been very storied up until this point. We'll see if he locks it in, and if he does, how successful it will be. The thought of the Medusa is interesting. I think it has some mid-game. Freya doesn't really have a mid-game. She got some early push and absolutely is a late-game beast, sure. Serket, I think, kind of has a little bit of a mid-game, and Medusa can amplify that.
I think Space Station have definitely catered their composition to be a little bit more favorable in the early to mid stage, and then just in case things go late again, you've got that Freya for the late game power spike. But my only concern with the Sylvanas, if that is going to be the go-to for JeffHindla, is the fact that Sylvanas can kind of be made the target just because he exists a lot of times, especially against Ratatoskr-driven compositions. But I do like the idea of a Wrath of Terra into the emptying of crypts.
Yeah, that's going to set up Opwash really interestingly. And you want to talk about team conversation. This Freya looked like it was going to mid lane Venenu up until this last selection, especially with them highlighting some stuff. Opwash going to be the choice for Venenu. Freya will be in the hands of BaRRaCCuDDa, and Trifecta. I gotta say, I like the thought process here.
I do think that if worst case scenario, Space Station have certainly drafted themselves a composition that is going to be pretty tough to breach the base of. So even if things all go perfectly well for Trifecta throughout the laning phases, throughout all those mid to early game team fights, I still think that might just be irrelevant, because when you're trying to siege against an Outwash, Bellona, and Sylvanas, it is just painful the entire way through. That's
going to be the big deal. Trifecta, this is match point, but can they push through, empty the crypts, and Sylvanas ult? We'll have to find out. Hindu and Aggro, take us away.
Well, Tom and the desk are right. Yeah, sure, they've got to get to the Outwash, but do they even have to worry about Phoenix defense until the laning phase is down?
No, and even then, I mean, there's no physical hunter, right? And I think that's why the Opwash may have been selected. I still think the Medusa would have been a little bit of a better look. They were hovering it, they were thinking about it. I just don't love Opwash against gods like Ratatoskr or like Achilles, where if I'm in trouble as Opwash, I'm ulting. And then Rat can easily just dash away and not take any damage from me, or dash at me and I'm running away and the crypts are already in front of me. And the same could be said for Achilles. Just kind of slide steps through them and then doesn't have to worry about them too much. I don't love the Opwash selection here for Venenu. And it's also kind of counterintuitive with the rest of the draft for Space Station. It's pressure everywhere else.
I was going to say, pressure is everywhere for Space Station this game. Obviously, Opwash is a different story, but it's against Discordia, so 50-50.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's he hiding for?
That's like Wowy's thing. He did that for a while, I think.
He hid?
Yeah, he, like...
I just thought he was in the Challenger Cup.
Yeah, that was like the bit, I think. I don't know. I kind of remember that.
Okay.
I'm stuck on this Opwash pick, man. I really don't like it.
Well, we'll see how it works out, you know. Start the
Could be
game.
good.
He's gone for the Mage's Blessing this time round, not going for the Book of Toth Rush, which is what Lasbra's up to at the moment. So going for the little bit of cooldown reduction, the MP5.
MP5, the big one. Opwash so mana hungry through the early game, and he's probably hoping that Aquarius can do what Ducky has done the last two games, where he's had Bellona up against the Achilles, which is get consistent Totem of Coups, this time in Space Station's favor. That makes Opwash feel a lot better to play.
And I am interested in this solo lane matchup now. With them both playing the reverse god situation. Does somebody have a better time on one god than the other? We'll find out as they both enter the laning phase. The duo side, though, different story.
Well, we've been putting a lot of talk about Ratatoskr and how he's 3-0, but Bellona's 3-0 in this set. I mean, it's been Bellona and Achilles every single game. Achilles has lost all three, so maybe this is what Space Station
Maybe he's rubbish and we should pick something else.
I mean, he had, what, a 53% pick rate and a 25% win rate?
So plays in half the games of the Pro League and only wins a quarter of those.
Yeah, not great, whereas Bellona has a 90+% win rate. Obviously won't stay that way forever, but goes to show that Bellona's having some pretty good success so far at the Pro League.
Spacestation Gaming, wave 1, they cleared the wave out, then in duo I'm talking here, then go to red buff, then do the purple, and then back for the minion wave that's left over here. So clearing out their jungle themselves to make sure they get ahead in experience, but also make sure they keep the pressure, I guess.
Exactly, and you just have so much pressure with this lane, and Sylvanas Freya, it's very difficult to end up beating a lane that has that much wave clear. So they've got time to go and get red and purple, and they're getting BaRRaCCuDDa a little bit more farm this way. Van's been getting red buffs early game with Merlin, this time giving it up on the Opwash, which makes a lot of sense. And as I mentioned going into this game, or the very end of the last game I should say, this game's all about Andy, in my mind. How will Andy do? And giving him a god like Serket that can really roll the lead is a good look.
Dual laner boxing. The junglers were boxing momentarily too. It's Eonic taking the brunt of the damage there from Trifecta's point of view, but BaRRaCCuDDa took his fair chunk of poke too, but with multi-potions, health potions and a Sylvanas in tow, he should be okay. Not only that, sustaining the kit, you know, just had a few more things on for Freya. Why not?
He's good. He's fine in this position for sure. No need to worry about him. Eonic, on the other hand, he need to be pretty worried about. He has to use a shell because there was some dot damage coming.
It was a late shell, but it was a timely shell, is the biggest difference there. Has health potions still ticking away, so could still stay in the laning phase. As long as he gets some of those minions with the Guardian's Blessing, he'll get a bit of sustain there too. But at the moment, Spacestation Gaming and dual lane quite happy to stay pressured here.
Can't fight Sylvanas Freya, man. You just can't. You're just going to need to stack some magical defense as the game goes on and hope that you can take them better in the team fights than you can in the laning phase. You just got too much wave clear.
Surprisingly enough, though, looking at the Totem of Coup situation, he's actually Trifecta with the first one on the board so far. Bit surprised by that, but lane pressure at the moment is for Aquarius as he was looking at the blue because he had jungler support, but so did Ducky. It's Weakened that took the brunt of the damage, however. He's back to the safety of his tier 1 tower. The blue buff is exposed, and Spacestation Gaming are looking to take it away.
Beautiful Cobra's Kiss there by andinster. Gets both Weaken and Ducky in the same swing and is able to easily turn the fight in their favor. Not level 5, so no real kill potential with people at full HP, but still nicely done by andinster. That opens up the blue buff invade perfectly.
Eonic rooted and then pulled into the damage from BaRRaCCuDDa. A couple of basics, definitely do some work from BaRRaCCuDDa, not enough to force Eonic back from base, but it will keep them away from the purple buff.
Oh, I'm surprised that Bear's going boots 1 in this slot. He was doing it on Jingwei and on the Hachiman, but that's because he wanted to rush boots into Asi right away. I really dislike boots 1 as an initial starter in situations like this, though, where if he had a talent trinket, Bancroft's 1, Eonic's dead beforehand, right? I mean, he lived with 2% HP. He probably dies with that extra power. Boots 1 gives you no extra power. He has no power in his build at all.
We could argue the fact of, like, he wouldn't have been in range without the boots.
6% movement speed? He probably would have been in range. I think he would have been there.
I don't know.
He's got no power at all right now between Hunter's Blessing and Boots 1. You add that extra damage on the scaling of your 2, I mean, you're good. You're good to go.
Book of Tough online now for Lasbra in the mid lane again. Had a very good Discordia game last time round. We'll see if we can do the same thing here, because we were saying they'd pick some bans, that they just ignored it here, Spacestation Gaming. They're not worried about it. They didn't ban it away from him at all. It's definitely the most comfortable I've seen Lasbra look so far in the mid.
Without a doubt. He carried that game, that last one. He had a great showing on this Discordia. It's a little bit worse here, I would say, than it was in the last game. Not as great against this composition, but still very good against Serket, where that cripple, I mean, if she latches onto somebody else with that last breath, then you just toss the apple onto her right away, then she can't dash away. No beads right now for andinster, so that won't be an option for him to stay safe either. That cripple can really come into play.
Blue buff hands are about to respawn, and Aquarius was already over there, but he's got an Eagles rally early away from the danger because Eonic showed presence at the same time just to slow this down a bit. Still no Totem of Coups from Aquarius.
Yeah, I was about to say, he doesn't seem to care about it at all.
Ignored, right?
If I'm Ven, I'm like, yo, man, can I get a little coup up in here?
Is that because he's other lanes to push? I mean, BaRRa's pushed him, so is Jeff consistently. So
that's still gold. I mean,
yeah,
you may as well do it. There's been times where he's just been beaten on Ducky instead of going for the totem, and don't think he had a lot of kill potential in those opportunities. Now he'll finally get it, but 5 minutes in, there's only been 2 coups taken down.
But player damage is important. Remember that.
All right.
From a solo laner's point of view, player damage in the early game.
Well, it is important for Ducky because he gets the Discordia passive if he does the most damage. It's not as important for Aquarius.
I don't know, man. Bludgeons, you got to be swinging with him, you know? Respect authority in the lane. Force him to use mana consistently. Yeah.
I'd rather have the 25 gold for everyone on my team.
Yeah, you're a mid laner. No, to be fair,
and I want the mana.
I'm a support main. I would love that gold too. It's not often I ever see it.
That's right.
Most of the time it is on the enemies. I'm trying to dive them. But hey.
See, this is now because Venenu hasn't been getting Totem of Coups on his side, he taxes the blue buff.
That's well, and this is where the knock-on trickle-down effect happens.
That's
You know?
right.
It's trickle-down economy. This.
And that works. We know for sure. We've definitely like decided that works. Yep.
At least over in this country, that's for sure. 6 minutes in, though, the Oracle's now being looked at by Space Station. They'll get those for themselves uncontested. It gives them a bit of vision around this Gulf here that's now spawned. Venenu trying to contest these right harpies. Could be a little bit risky knowing that Trifecta on this side, and he didn't really have support around. But now Anis has shown his face mid. Is level 6 now. Has Blink available for a little play when he feels like it. Who's his primary target here for this Circuit?
Could be Eonic, but it's going to be difficult for him to consistently get Deathbanes off with those crippling roots that Eonic can deploy. Lasbra has purification beads, so he's a little bit less attractive as a target, but still with no boots means that he's pretty easy. I think Weaken's got to be the primary one, though. I mean, no beads, no way to hit for him to get out of the combo once you land that initial Cobra's Kiss.
There is 6 wards on that left-hand side from Space Station Gaming around the red buff and the purple, just scattered around there. That's like 2 wards from 3 players to get that many on. That's why I'm like, everyone's warding.
They're on it, man. That's what you got to do. Ooh, Aqua going for the blue buff.
Big plays.
Doesn't get it and is now in some trouble, but here comes Andy.
Bigger plays needed, and there's the Cobra's Kiss and the Deathbane damage, and the execute from Ducky was perfectly timed. Weaken may go down in trade here. Oh, he jumps away in time as Andy from the fatal strike from Ducky, but the damage was done. Aquarius fell. He committed so quick.
Very, very big commit there from Aqua. Doesn't get the blue buff, and honestly, if he gets blue in that spot, he may have actually gotten it. He gotten that kill because maybe Weaken doesn't heal a bit off the camp from Assassin's Blessing, but very aggressive play. Right idea, but andinster just didn't have the damage quite yet to 100-0 Weaken.
Didn't get to see that in the mid lane there, but I have a feeling that Jeff may have been about to land a pull.
He rooted him, yeah.
And Lasbra decided to use the ultimate in response, so they didn't get pulled and not have to use his beads. Which is a bit confused why the apple came out, and I'm like, okay, that makes some sense.
But his 3 must have been down as well, because that little dash will get you out of a lot of danger very, very easily. So must have had both of those on cooldown, and good. If that's the case, good use of the ultimate. In this part of the early game, you're not really using it to execute people that often. It really just means that andinster has a little bit more time where he doesn't have to worry about it.
Trifecta's really trying to control the map to the best of their ability, at least in terms of the neutral objectives. The right harpies, the left harpies, only really giving up the oracles earlier on. Eonic now returning to the duo lane though, but it's warded up, so BaRRa's well aware of the situation. But RTO is just lurking around here if there was a window of opportunity. Very hard to gank a Hunter at this level though, especially with the amount of wards being placed, Ryan, and the wave pressure is very telegraphed most of the time.
Exactly. So you've got some safety as these hunters. Looks like Wowy might be going for the old school now, and that Devourer's Gauntlet build. No Aussie rush like
Could be a Blood Forge.
doing. Could be.
We'll find out. Aquarius going to jump in with the Eagles Rally, but Ducky will answer back with a fatal strike just as the blue buff is spawning again. So the last few games, we've seen a lot of pressure in the duo lane, but this time round, it's all about solo lane focus.
But here's Lasbra on a good rotation. He's going to beat Venenu there by a considerable amount, and that's enough to make Space Station go away from the blue buff. Good, quick to call from Space Station to end up giving it up in the end. But I like the idea. Get Aqua ahead. I mean, he's been a carry for this team for a while now. You get him a big lead, maybe he can carry the game for you.
The wards from Trifecta on the right-hand side just spotted out Space Station thinking about going back towards that right-hand side and pressuring Ducky a little bit. But it's actually Weaken in the jungle here, going to ult very early, get his ult out of BaRRaCCuDDa, because BaRRa is now surrounded by a whole goon squad. The good news is, though, he had a banish available, and now his turnaround is fair play. And he pulls Eonic into a world of hurt. The shell will buy him a moment, but it won't buy him his life.
Oh, Jeff actually pulled him into the kill from the poison. That is nuts. Great play there from Space Station. Good presence of mind from BaRRaCCuDDa. Always go towards your team, and he gets rewarded for that there.
They can't. Can they go for their Gold Fury off this? I think they can, right?
Yeah, I think they can too. I mean, maybe not. Wowie's ultimate's down, so is Lasbra's. Yeah, actually, I think you go for it because you've got such great secure and opwash here. I mean, you just lay down a bunch of corpses, blow them up with Corpse Explosion. No one is able to steal that away from you pretty easily. I'm also surprised. Maybe the fact that bees were down for BaRRa and the ult.
Lower mana, I don't know. I mean, it's still a little confusing.
He gets his mana back by
That's what I was like. I was going to say lower mana, but, you know, it's Freya. Like, maybe just a little bit worried about bigger picture, you know?
I agree.
Objective worries of how the games have gone so far. It was a window of opportunity, though, and that has closed now for Space Station Gaming. They found a win in the team fight, which was initiated by Trifecta.
It was, and again, BaRRa was in a fairly bad spot, but a good response, not really even a rotation, but a response from Spacestation Gaming puts them in the right position to help him out. And Jeff has a great fight that time around. It hits Eonic with the ultimate, sets up andinster to land that last breath onto the target. They can be killed pretty easily by it, and with a beautiful pull on a weaken.
Maybe this is the change they need to make. Well, hold that for weaken though. He's lurking for BaRRaCCuDDa. He's got no beads this time. Has his ultimate. BaRRa seems to be staring right towards weaken of like, something seems fishy about this corner.
I don't like it. This is just good ADC lesson for everybody. You should always be hugging left side wall, because weaken, if BaRRa was on the right side all the time, he would just get blinked on and insta-killed.
Tell you, he'd be ping spamming that rat right now if this was a ranked game, expecting a rotation.
He's got his team getting the blue buff on the other side, Aqua with help from andinster.
But he's not getting anything.
He's not getting anything, no.
That's the
the way
worst
it's gotta
feeling in
be.
the world, man.
It's a team game, Hindu.
No, he's not. It's all about the individual. That's what everyone's taught me over time playing this. Gold Fury has been started up by Trifecta, though.
They
And
don't
I
know.
don't think Spacestation has realized it. Andy's trying to zone away Lasbra, and Lasbra's like, yeah, you're zoning me away, buddy. Good job, you. My team will get the Gold Fury.
Yeah,
Do you like
maybe
how Andy,
they knew.
Do you like how Andy checked the Gold Fury pit afterwards going, was that the Gold Fury I heard go down? Oh, it was.
Maybe they knew, but I don't think so. Just the
Clearly
way
not.
that they were positioned makes it seem like they didn't. They decided just not to check it.
Bit of a surprise then that Trifecta managed to find a small window there and even the game up once more. Spacestation Gaming had a bit of a lead being established there in terms of gold, but it's just cancelled and nullified now.
And that whole Gold Fury really happens because weakens pressure on the duo lane, forces BaRRa to go to backs instead of stepping up to clear the wave, which means that that Wowy has plenty of
Ooh,
time.
Blink for blink, but
He got his
Weaken
dash.
still gets hit by the ult, and the ult
He's
from
dead.
Jeff on top with the dot damage will be enough to bring down the rat.
That's what you want, is your jungler to play very
Literally.
aggressively without those purification beads available. Nicely done by Andy. That's what Space Station needs, is andinster playing this way.
Aquarius, though, bullying Ducky on the tower line as much as possible as Eonic was just trying to clear some camps in the jungle for himself and make sure Space Station don't get too much of a lead. The speed buff is available, and that's a
Defend.
critical one with Weaken and Andy being in the game.
That's where the spam pings, I talk for a living, come in to defend that speed buff. Defend that, or else I leave the game.
Jeff is actually on this right hand side, but he's on a ward too, so Ducky knows what's going on here. Doesn't really have anything to get over the wall. Actually, no, until he's got a blink.
It's also-
Does he blink for this?
No way.
No.
Shield of Achilles also does go through walls, but
I didn't know that.
it does.
Why?
Pretty far. It's a magical thrust of damage.
I did not know that was the case. Well, the more you know. Still doesn't mean I'm going to play him, because I don't like him.
Why not? He's cool.
I don't know. There's just something about him. He's a bit meh.
You have very particular feelings about the gods that you will play or not play.
Not really. Like, most of them I actually like. There's only like a couple where I'm like, blah, right? One is, number one, top of the shop, always has been, always will be, Nike.
I like playing.
The dullest god in the world. It's like, I don't know. It's just not good. Like, I was about to say
I don't think there's a single
really-
god I really hate playing because of their kit. They're just gods I don't like playing
It's
because
just
I'm bad
dull.
at it.
I might as well just be a mobile ward, you know?
That's
Like-
worth a lot.
Sure, that's what I feel like. I could do the same thing on a support and feel like I could at least help
I'm kind of
people.
surprised you're only playing Nike because
No, she sucks.
you can just kind of chill in your lane, do your own thing, relax, and then help your team with your passive, and then they come to kill you and you go, nope, I've got a big shield.
That's the thing, like, I like playing to win. I mean, to be fair, you should be a Nike main because she's got like a 100% win ratio, right?
Yeah, I like Nike a lot.
Yeah, you would play someone like that. You try hard.
I would.
I can try hard for different reasons, but mid lane, Lasbra was trying to make a play there with the apple onto Jeff. Didn't really find anything of it. Left-hand side, though, BaRRa finds a whoop onto Wowy. Wowy did not use his beads there, just patiently waited, dashed away, no panic.
Definitely less burst damage coming off that banish than it used to be for Freya. Can stand and fight a little bit more safely. BaRRa didn't see Weaken on the ward. Now he sees Lasbra, but he'll get rooted right away. Wow, he's got a great angle this fight.
Now there's trouble because Weaken can stay in the air a long time if he wants to. He's going to hop back and forth a little bit, wait for the window, and actually catch Aquarius, who teleported over here to make sure Trifecta didn't find more than they bargained for.
Lasbra secures purple for Trifecta. Really early teleport in, and
Tier one
Ducky
mid?
actually matches it by teleporting into mid lane, but
He might get
he's
the
getting
tower.
farm in mid. Yeah, he's got tower.
He may get the tower, but they're trying to backdoor this one in the left-hand side now. In response, minions now pouring in. That'll create more of a window. Space Station Gaming back away, knowing they get the tier 1 tower. Overall, I'd be more favouring Trifecta just because it's a mid-lane tower.
Mid lane towers are worth quite a bit, but this is still the point of the game where we're going to be fighting over Furies a lot. So the left side tower also ends up being pretty valuable to you. Both sides probably come away feeling okay after that fight.
I don't think Andy's going to be feeling okay now.
Yeah, he doesn't feel okay anymore.
He's got no speed. Watch if he's going to turn this around. Blinking, you ready?
Nope. Need to blink.
Well, he's going to have to now because he just missed the kiss. That's a typical jungle situation where you miss your kiss and you're like, yeah, I'm done. I'm done here. There's no way we're going to catch him. He's too mobile.
He's got a speed buff, man. That's cheating.
Too much.
We can't be having that.
But great work from Ducky, though, in fairness. Like, he sits pressure under his tier 1 consistently, blue buff invades on cooldown, and then still has the presence of mind to get the only kill of the game so far, by the way, for Trifecta.
Yep.
Under his belt. But not only that, then pressure the mid lane while Spacestation Gaming groups on the left.
Yeah, that was a really nice play from Ducky. Good heads up map check to check the speed buff. Knows he doesn't lose anything for it with the Fury still down. Now he needs to be present in the fight, most likely, but he's got a whole item over Aquarius at this point. He's got a Void Shield and a Blackthorn Hammer instead of the Frostbound Hammer that Aquarius went for.
Why Frostbound?
It's just good on Bellona. You stick pretty easily. She's got a quick attack speed chain, so she reapplies that slow really easily. But there's not that many guys. I mean, I guess if you catch Lasbra without his ultimate or his 3, then you can stick on him forever.
Oh, BaRRa just missed a whoop, and straight away Ducky gets aggressive towards andinster, forcing him back. No sign of Aquarius just yet. He's mobile, rotating over from the right-hand side. Gold Fury, Eonic Fury, I should say, has been reset. Weakened in the sky with diamonds. Didn't find his ultimate at all there. The zone work was what it was there for, but the Eonic Fury's getting low. Trifecta will get it. Eonic getting low in the back of the fight. It takes a lot of damage from andinster. BaRRaCCuDDa with credit for the kill. Space Station march on, though. They're looking for a pick on Lasbra.
Lasbra is absolutely dead here. Don't even need the last breath from andinster to get it. It's a killing spree now for BaRRaCCuDDa. And Trifecta get the Oni Fury, but getting Oni Fury right as soon as your whole team dies means that you're probably not getting that much value out of it because it's easy for Space Station to spread out and get those waves dead.
You can see Space Station pushing up the left-hand side with andinster and grouping in mid for the tier 1 tower. Pings were down on Pyromancer moments ago, and I do think they can still go over for that too. Well, Weaken and Ducky will be back and maybe try to contest.
There's but again, he's Freya, so won't be the case for
No
long.
one's ever really these days, are they?
Yeah, you can be.
Weaken is here, so is Ducky. Here we go with the play. Space Station get the Pyromancer and the pick on Weaken. Little bit of overestimation there from Trifecta, and they get heartily punished.
Jeff goes, okay, just knocks him up immediately and insta-kills him alongside the rest of Space Station. Definitely not Weaken's strongest moment.
There is a window as a support player, though, where you in the early game, you're like, no, please leave me alone, jungler. And then there's a window where you're like, oh, you made a mistake. I am now a decent level and have a couple of items.
Yes, and level 14, by the way, for JeffHindla. Eonic only level 11. Eonic has struggled this game so far.
12 for Weaken, though, as well, which shows the issue with that play there.
I will say that nothing personally makes me want to get out of a game faster than when the enemy support is my level or higher. As a carry player, you just feel useless.
As the support player in that situation, when those do happen, you don't want that game to end because damn is it fun.
Yeah, you just get to do whatever you want in the game. And
You just pick a character and go, you will not exist anymore. You're not going to do anything.
Jeff has played so well this game, and I think that Eonic, as a whole, this set has played really, really well, and that's a big part of why Trifecta, I think, won game 2. I think his Terra was really critical in that game.
I agree. The Terra play was great.
But this game, he has really, really struggled in comparison to Jeff, who has looked great.
But he didn't also look good on RTO at all. Game 1. I think game 1 also he struggled there as well. Maybe RTO could be a bit of kryptonite for Trifecta. At least for Eonic at the time being. I mean, he's someone that likes to play those sort of... He's more of a passive player, I want to say, Eonic, because he's good at setting up. He's a setup player.
I think he's versatile because you think of the things that he's played throughout his career. I mean, yeah, sure, a lot of Geb and that kind of stuff, but he was also the premier Sylvanas player whenever Sylvanas came out, and that was an aggressive god. He also played a lot of Naja support back in the day, an aggressive god. I mean, you don't play a lot in the olden days without playing just about everything.
I don't know. I look at Sylvanas a little bit differently than that because he is a setup god, sure, but it's not like an aggressive setup. Sure, he's got the blink initiate. That's the same as Geb, but he'll sit in the backline and pull people in and sustain the whole time.
But he's pressure. He's pressure in lane, and that's kind of what RDO is too.
Fair.
RDO is the same sort of lane pressure that you see the majority of the time.
He's a support player though, so having multiple more abilities to press could be difficult.
Yeah, that's you gotta hit all your buttons, man.
Aquarius on the left-hand side is trying to keep 2 people busy, and with that Thorns, it will do so because Wowy will not attack for a few extra seconds there, knowing that he'll do damage to himself. Space Station, though, grouped up on the right-hand side, and andinster is starting to find a bit of a flank situation here. He's thinking about going for it, but now he's going to turn attention towards the mid tower.
Spacestation did this very well in Game 1. Spread the map, force out towers. It's just much worse with a Freya on your team as opposed to the Hachiman they had in Game 1.
So a one-on-one, a one-on-one, and a three-on-three is the calling card here. Eonic going to get the route off into BaRRaCCuDDa, but no panic out of Spacestation Gaming there. They just throw out a couple of corpses, and all is well. Tier 2 in the mid lane has taken a bit of poke damage from andinster there, but Wowy's there to check that out. But it has created a situation on the right where Andy's lurking around this corner.
Ward's there, though. Trifecta wary. Here comes andinster blinking it over the wall. Has the
Eonic.
full combo committing onto Eonic. Eonic's dead to rights. It's just a matter of who does he spread the poison to. Nobody is the answer.
Ducky, though, gets a double off the back of that play. All the aggression onto Eonic actually paid off for Trifecta. Now they've got themselves in a better situation. Weekend has his ultimate, and he's going to the sky.
Venenu, no relics. He's going to be the target. A little bit short, though. Weekend can't quite close the gap. Now with his dash down, Aquarius feels like he can go aggressive.
And he tries to go aggressive on Weekend, but Wowy was there. Didn't really do too much with the Jutsu there with the stun follow-up.
You know, I was going to say it right before that siege happened, but Eonic just now hitting level 12, way behind that of Jeff, but he picked up an upgraded Cursed Ankh, and he got it off right before he died, and that made it really, really easy for Ducky to get in the back line and clean up.
Just increases the amount of damage you take after healing, which definitely ends people's lives when they think they're going to sustain more than they will. And yeah, I think you're right. I think that's one of the reasons Ducky managed to do as much as he did in that engagement. Credit where it's due then, that Trifecta find a win and get a tier 1 tower.
And now the game is even again. I mean, Spacestation didn't have a massive lead by any stretch, but they don't get a whole lot out of that grouping around the right side, and I do think that this Freya pick has been good for Spacestation. BaRRa's played well. They've been able to play well with this composition that I was kind of skeptical about not that long ago, but still, not having a physical hunter ends up being a real struggle for you when it comes time to sieging towers. And if Spacestation's MO when they get a lead is to group up and get towers instead of forcing fights or getting buffs, then this doesn't work very well with this sort of composition. You have to play to what you're going to end up utilizing in the game.
We're 7-3 now, but if you're just a fan, generally, of the SPL, you'll be feeling good about how Trifecta have performed against the Spacestation Gaming roster. Rough performance the first time they came out on the battlefield against SK, but did not have time to prep. With a little bit of prep, they're looking a lot better. Same cannot be said, though, about Spacestation Gaming. A lot of people would have looked at this one on paper and gone, no problem, this should be a relatively easy victory. It's not smooth sailing here, though.
Not at all. It was in Game 1, though, so I think that Spacestation showed me that they can have those moments. Another great pull by JeffHindla gets Eonic down to half HP, and that might be the window that Spacestation needs to just pull this. Opwash objective secure from this position is so difficult, because now you have to come into the crypts, and he's got all the corpses.
Ducky getting CC'd by andinster just to prevent him getting in range of that Gold Fury there. So Spacestation Gaming take control of the gold lead for the time being to join that of the kills for now. Tower situation, well, it's still relatively even. Just a tier 1 advantage for them in the left-hand lane. Everything else is pretty open now.
Pyromancer could be a call. They know Venenu uses ultimate, but he's getting relics back up, as is everybody else on Trifecta. May as well take a fight where you know you don't have to worry about that insanely annoying Opwash.
Well, I think if Trifecta realized how much that Cursed Ankh made an impact to that tier 2 tower, they could try and force a fight around the Fire Giant if they wanted to. Bring them in.
I don't know. That's awfully risky. I mean, you saw when they had a massive lead how difficult they had.
There's a difference between like a dance of the Fire Giant and a proper commit that turns into a fight, right? There's a big difference.
Sure. I just don't think that they need to be forcing anything right now. That Cursed Ankh will stay good the rest of the game. It's not like you're only getting a little bit of effectiveness out of it in this exact moment. Instead, let Lasbra get his Soul Reaver and make it a lot easier for him to kill Aquarius. Let Weekend finish off a Void Shield or whatever he's planning on getting in that slot. It is going to be a Void Shield. A little bit redundant because Ducky already has one, but not the end of the world.
Talking more about items, the last few games we asked about anti-heal a little bit too much. This time, seeing plenty of it now. Pestilences, Divine Ruins, Brawlers, Beat Sticks coming through, and kind of even across both compositions so far. No anti-heal on Venenu just yet, though. Do you expect to see him go some?
He could. You already have anti-heal built into your ultimate,
right? As well,
and Circuit. So I'm not as worried about it this time around.
We'll see what happens with this dance then. We can push him mid lane out nicely. It will force andinster to come back and defend more than likely. Circuit versus Rat in the 1v1. Kind of whoever gets the jump for the most part, if everyone's going to hit all their abilities. But Weekend's going to get a bit of free time onto this tier 2. Andy will show up, and as soon as he does, the dash away will happen. Space Station on the other side of the map, though, near the Fire Giant, have pressured Trifecta back to their tier 2. If that tier 2 wasn't there anymore, it would have been in a much trickier position for Trifecta to defend against.
I've got no problem with Andy looking for this 1v1. It just
agree.
needs to be a little bit careful because Weekend does have some pretty good damage.
Root connects from Jeff, and straight away Lasbra will dash away from the pull. Banish onto Eonic, does some decent work, but Wowy gets aggressive on BaRRaCCuDDa. Barra took way more damage than bargained for, but he still had his ultimate to get him away from danger, and Venenu picks up Wowy for his indiscretions.
But Ducky ends up executing the support instead of the ADC. Has the blink straight into the Fatal Strike, but he whiffs it. Barrett has the beads, won't matter, but here comes Andy to help out.
Big messy fight. Venenu uses his Aegis, but he's only going to run into a hard place because Ducky was right around the corner. Now Aquarius on the run with andinster too, and he's got the mobility and his ultimate to get away. He may look for a play on Eonic here, andinster, unless he wants to take on the 1v1 with Weekend. It's buying time for Aquarius to manually run as fast as his little Bellona legs can carry him, but he may just need to try and box this one out a little bit. Here comes Andy, though.
He might actually
He's
have
got
Weekend
this.
dead to rights. Yeah, that last breath should do it, and now it'll spread onto Ducky. andinster still needs to be careful, though, because Ducky hunting him down. Great patience.
That was really patient.
On that combat dodge strike, and Aquarius ends up being the only one who survives that engagement. Ven just went so deep underneath that tier 2 tower to try and kill Eonic in a dive that's really not worth your time.
Did anyone win that fight?
No, it's just a...
Let's look at the damage. Let's work it out. Experience. Slightly for Trifecta. Gold. Slightly, I guess, Trifecta.
I guess Trifecta
They're
won.
up in kills. They're lower in damage, though, so they did lose that one. It's 3-1.
All right. Still, I'd rather have the other 4, or the other 3 than the damage outright. Just an awkward fight, I think, from Space Station. I don't know what did so much damage to BaRRa so instantly. I mean, he got half health, but I guess it must have been Lasbra. Yeah, it must have
It's the only thing I could think of, because I looked down and the next minute he'd lost majority of his health. Luckily, though, he still had the ultimate to turn it around quite heavily and make an impact in the fight, but it means that everyone's kind of square at the Fire Giant again. That was a dance of the Fire Giant as the junglers were both kind of dancing around mid lane looking for pressure.
Well, now Venenu has that Obsidian Shard done, so the dive on the Eonic might not be as necessary. He's got far more damage. I'd like to see Whoop into pull be the combo now between Jeff and BaRRa, because root into pull, we saw Lasbra be able to instantly just use that erratic behavior and get out of there. You can't do that off the banish, so I think that let BaRRaCCuDDa try and do it, but you have to wait now because he doesn't have his relics. But in those same sorts of situations, Wowy was initiating all the time for Trifecta on this Freya pick. I think that we could see the same here for BaRRa.
He's also got the Roto to Hootie online as well. A lot of power, and that actually increases your damage done to targets that are lower. Give your abilities too. Do you think Rod's as impactful as it once was? Obviously, it's not, right?
Obviously
it's
not, yeah.
like,
I mean...
but it is viable.
Yeah, it's still viable. I think it's good on Freya. She wants to use her ultimate to finish off half-health targets quite a bit. You just need outright power sometimes. It definitely fits that bill. I like the Demonic Grip here because it attacks the magical protection for Trifecta on a different axis than that of the Spear of the Magus. These two interact beautifully together. Venenu and BaRRaCCuDDa are basically stripping prots for each other most of the time, which is really hard to deal with as a frontline tank.
Still a dance of a situation here between these two teams. Either side could take this set right now. At least Trifecta could if they win this game. It's the only Fury they're focused on here, and instead the only one in the area for the time being. But a ward down is giving enough vision for Spacestation Gaming, and they're going to rotate over now and make sure they are the ones to start this up themselves. Interesting.
No beads for andinster for about 5 seconds, but other than that, everything up and ready on both sides.
Really is Trifecta waiting for Space Station to be the initiators and then counter-initiate like this. Aquarius takes a bit of health, but JeffHindla get a good pull-off there to slow that down momentarily. Andy and Weekend both keep staring at each other the whole time because they're both in the same sort of spot.
Oni Fury down to a third, blinking from Ducky, focus on to JeffHindla. He gets a great ultimate, but he's going to deliver the apple straight to Venenu.
Crips did so much work, but Ducky got another kill. Jeff is already dead. BaRRa in the sky will secure the kill to Weekend, turning his attention to Wowy, who needs one more pop, and that'll be enough. Triple kill for Ducky, but also at the same time, I think BaRRa might be up for a triple here too.
I think that's a quad that was waiting for BaRRaCCuDDa, but andinster ends up taking it from him. Ducky got the double for himself, but not quite able to finish anybody else off. You called it, man. Those empty the crypts from Venenu were great in that position.
And they took the fight in it. That's what I was surprised about.
Great damage coming out from this Opwash. I was worried about this pick, but Venenu has certainly proved me wrong. He's been playing it well so far this game. 1-1 and 10. has been a part of just about everything that Spacestation has done so far this game. And there's no question on who won that team fight, Graham. That was
Trifecta.
all Spacestation Gaming.
Sorry. I've not had a chance to say that since game 1. That's why I was a little bit lost, confused in the state of affairs. Trifecta will take a huge loss there. It's a big swing in favor of Spacestation Gaming now, with the Fire Giant now looming too. I think the biggest problem I really saw from that was the fact that they fought in the crypts. They knew the crypts were there, and they still continued the fight. They could have backed away.
Lasbra just got focused really early, and that was a lot of investment onto JeffHindla. And Jeff gets a great ult to hit 3, and I think Lasbra was one of them that he hit. It was either him or Wowy. One of the carries got hit by the Wrath of Terra, and that just really shouldn't happen. You have to be wary of those support ultimates when you're committing onto them. The worst thing that you can do is let them get relevant damage and CC onto you before they die.
Wowy though, 0, 2, and 5. Seen a couple of ultimates out of him on this Hachiman to try and help with some of the extra burst damage. But he's not found the same positioning he did with the Freya game so far, having a bit of a tougher time here. Is that because of the likes of a Bellona and a Circuit, I guess, too?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's just been a really good backline dive comp so far from Spacestation, and the fact is that his front line hasn't been able to survive in Eonic, taking early deaths a lot. That being said, Ducky's had a hell of a game, hasn't he? 8-0 and 1.
I think he's had a great set.
He's had a great set, yeah. Much better, a great bounce back set, because, man, that King Arthur set against SK was really rough for him.
I think the one thing to mention as well is like Ducky was on SK Gaming last year. A lot of people talked about that roster. We still see a couple more SK members as the season progresses from that roster from last year. But Ducky was one on that list. And a lot of people may have overlooked him as a player, but that pull from Jeff has just ended Eonic's life before anyone from Trifecta could even help him.
Jeff is just popping right now, man. He's had a great game on this Sylvanas, and that's what you're looking for. By the way, the Ratatosker that's been so heavily contested and such a big deal this set, 1 in 5 for Weekend, and only 2k more damage than Jeff.
Oh, in the jungle, Lasbra got picked off there. The poison's going to spread onto him. Sorry, it was already on him. So Lasbra's dead. Nobody could really help him out there. The rest of Spacestation Gaming on the Fire Giant. It's taken him a long time. It's given Weekend a bit of time to bring down a tier 2 tower in the mid lane. But I won't upset Spacestation Gaming too much with what they just got away with.
Aqua gonna back, making sure that Weekend doesn't get the mid Phoenix. A smart call. He's got his teleport ready to go, so not a big deal. But there are no wards in inventory for Spacestation. Where's their furthest up ward? It's by blue buff, so still pretty far from where a fight could break out.
But I don't think they'll need him just yet. With Lasbra being dead and wild, the crypts being emptied, Ducky and Wowy taking a lot of damage than they would like to. Minions being there too will help to remove the backdoor protections, and with the Fire Giant, doesn't take too long.
Ven has a really good Opwash ult there. That's all you have to do from that position. Freya takes some more time to get these structures. We've said that a lot so far in this set because there's been a lot of Freya play, but you could just buy so much time for her to get those Phoenixes. She'll get it eventually. You just need to buy her that space, and that's exactly what that ultimate's at.
Would have been helpful to have Weekend back there defending, I guess, without trying to push for the Phoenix, but you force someone back to try and answer back the pressure.
Yeah,
it's a tricky one.
I don't think Weekend could have done anything to stop that right side Phoenix push. Getting Aqua away from that fight and getting a tier 2 tower for your team is more worth his time for sure.
The potions starting to come into play, the power potions at least for the time being, the 500 ones, because people will be saving up for the elixirs of speed eventually. How have you found the elixirs of speed?
They're good. They're good. I think they're better for hunters than mid laners. I think hunters are the one. Are the class that benefits. You lose. Yeah, the boots are less valuable for hunters most of the time because you don't always need Ninja Tab, and even if you do, you can always replace that attack speed pretty easily.
Right.
As a mage, a lot of times you're building a bunch of those items, those pen items anyways. But the big difference is that mage items are just really, really expensive. And so it takes time for you to be able to buy the 1500 pot of the Elixir of Speed and your 6th item, whereas hunters can easily slot in a Titan's Bane, pretty cheap, or an Odysseus Bow, which is pretty cheap. You just get to your 6th item much faster as a hunter. And mages, when they can get all 6, feel really good still, but every class really does.
Tier 2 in the mid lane falls, as does the one on the left-hand side, and it's only 2 Phoenixes remaining for Trifecta. I have said that earlier on in this set, and it was Trifecta that won. So we'll see how this one goes. It's a different Spacestation Gaming comp this time around, though, and JeffHindla is really leading the plays with these pulls.
And Venenu has done a lot of work in this mid to late game as well, in this Opwash. Those two have been looking much better this game than in the last.
Definitely has come from JeffHindla, though, this one. I think everyone's done their duty, so to speak, but it's Jeff that has found these root pull combinations, all the ultimates at the right time to turn things around. Andy and Aquarius in mid, though, taking on Weaken, and Andy took way more damage than bargained for. Same can be said for Eonic, who's already taken out by BaRRaCCuDDa. Weaken arrives to look for the pressure onto Jeff, but Jeff's still alive for now, and the execute from the Fatal Strike. It wasn't enough damage. It wasn't an execute range. BaRRa gets a double. BaRRa's looking for a triple. BaRRa would have got a quadra, but Weaken decided to die elsewhere.
Man, that could have been a penta for BaRRaCCuDDa. That was his second
can't kill
triple
Lasbra.
of the game. Force out his Aegis. We're going to game 5, Graham. Space Station, great bounce back game this time around.
I think a lot of people coming to this set couldn't call which way this was going to go because Space Station haven't looked the greatest overall, and Trifecta may have done a little bit more than people expected. Now that we're tied up at 2-2, all comes down to a best of 1.
I'm interested in where Trifecta's going to go in picks and bans. Are they going to opt for first pick or second pick? They're the team coming off the loss. It's been Space Station first pick every game. I wonder if they're going to switch that up a little bit. I think they will because the Freya pick seems to be really, really highly valued now. Wowy got it. The first game did nothing with it because of good pressure from andinster. Did well with it games 2 and 3, and now BaRRa has a great game on it here in game 4.
So could we not just see that banned potentially?
We could see them ban it away, but then you're leaving the door open for some other pick that might end up shutting you down. I think that if I'm Trifecta, I'm going first pick and trying to get that Freya for Wowy this time.
Trifecta looked quite calm at the end of that game as well, because they just lost that one. They were already up 1 game, but they were still quite calm. Space Station, business faces. They were like, well, we find the one important victory that we should have had already.
And BaRRaCCuDDa laughing is business face, by the way. We can clarify that. That is how his constant state of being most of the time. So they look pretty good that game. I think the Trifecta has some things that they could easily do. I do want to see Eonic go away from that RDO, though. You're right. He struggled on that pick.
SPL, 5 games every single day, hopefully. That's what it's looking like. Anyway, let's go to the desk to break down game 4.
Thanks a lot, Hindu. Thanks a lot, Aggro. And as we look at this one, you know, it's funny, Taco. You said something to me off air while we were watching the game, and you were just like, "Can BaRRa, carry late game on the Freya?" That's going to be the question. And I was like, "Well, there's a lot of variables. Look at the whole draft." And BaRRa gets the near quadra kill at the end with the Freya and just wins the game.
Yeah, BaRRa kind of just said, I'm not losing this set. Not here, not now, at least not while he's playing the Freya. And this is kind of the first thing that comes to mind whenever you think, oh no, Freya actually made it through the picks and bans, and that actually became a real-life nightmare situation for Trifecta because a lot of the positives that went right for them in the early game were just so heavily negated once this Freya pick came online. And that's not to say BaRRa did it all his own either. I think a huge amount of credit has to go to JeffHindla for this match because so many picks that were so critical for Space Station having success in teamfights came as a direct result of those Sylvanas pulls being on point.
Yeah, we just saw 2 of them right there, and this is I mentioned it when Jeff is able to play these traditional Guardians. He looks really strong. He really excels at this type of wow, that's ridiculous. Just really excels at these type of things, and it just lines everything up there. 11-1-5 for the Freya man.
Yeah, I gotta say, it's pretty good when you can go up into the air for a little bit more than, what feels like an eternity, but it's only like 3 seconds, and also simultaneously deal roughly 1,400 damage with your ultimate because
I'm not even leaning on the fact that Freya's that strong. I'm leaning on the fact that Trifecta grouped up for the AoE dive bomb. I don't understand what's going on there.
You call it a group up. I call it Space Station forcing them into a corner
there you go.
with Aquarius and JeffHindla.
Trifecta just need to be a little bit more afraid.
No. I'm going to give that a hard no.
Not even a little bit?
Not even a little bit.
Didn't like it one bit?
Not the tiniest. There is not a single fiber of my current being that could ever approve of that message.
Well, the win goes to Space Station nonetheless. I will reflect on
I'm shutting it down now before it happens again.
I will reflect on my wordplay, as I am normally quite the wordsmith. But just like I will bounce back, Space Station Gaming do just that in game number 4. Players get a little bit of a break before game 5. Everybody's standing up, water, etc. This is a long set. Don't forget, we started here at 11, and we're almost at 3 p.m. here local time in North Atlanta. So watching these guys, this is what the best of 5 does. Not only do we get this really interesting conversation about how hotly contested picks will change and perhaps say the same, Freya kind of of rearing her head here in this set between Trifecta and Spacestation Gaming. But also, you get to really test the longevity of these squads. I mean, this has been one of the games was 50 minutes. These games have not been 20-minute stopouts. Trifecta and Space Station have both brought it.
And I think that it's actually really cool getting to see this little side of the players, because it's not every single day that you have to play 5 games at competitive level Smite back to back to back. That can be a pretty gruesome experience for your mental health. And as far as Trifecta is concerned, they were riding in hot into Game 4. I mean, they had the 2-game momentum swing over Space Station. Game 3 especially feeling very controlling for Trifecta. So for them to lose Game 4 in the fashion that they did, where it just felt like things crumbled so rapidly as the team fights continued to occur, that can kind of suck the wind out of your sails.